Hello Year 8 and welcome to the second lesson on World War One. Our focus today is how far did militarism cause World War One? Now militarism, just as a reminder, is the building up of armed forces and weapons. Okay, before we start, I'd like you to take a new page and to write at the top of it militarism, just as you can see in my example here, and then add a few doodles or pictures of things that describe the word. And again, you can see if you can do better than my pictures. If you can pause the video and do that now for me, please. So what was the naval race? Well, it really starts with Wilhelm II, so the leader of Germany, was really jealous of Britain's power and empire. He wanted Germany to be as powerful as Britain. So by the late 1800s, Britain has the best navy in the world and it has the biggest empire. So this is what Wilhelm II is jealous of, and he wants to really enter a competition and improve Germany and make them as powerful as Britain. So he really claims that because Germany now has some land overseas and an empire, they also need a large navy to protect it. So see, he starts in 1898 building his own naval battle fleet. Obviously, Britain has a response to this. We are world beaters in the Navy, and the Navy is so important to us because we are an island nation, and it is the Navy that is helping us to manage the empire worldwide. It's what protects our trade, so our goods that are coming and going from the empire. It protects our wealth, and it's our security. It's our safety and our security. So when Britain felt that their naval superiority, which means being the best, was threatened, or was going to be threatened by Germany, they were very, very sensitive and responded to this really quite quickly. So Britain also then starts to increase their spending and their size of the navy, so they can stay top and remain, the most, superior naval force in the world. So new naval ports are built in Scotland and the North Sea. Here in this restored picture, you can see the German fleet before World War One. So you can see there is a lot of development. Britain had a reason to, to be concerned. But this then really speeds up in 1906 because new technology essentially arrives. A brand new battleship called the Dreadnought is launched, and this is almost the latest in the technology. So it can have 10 12-inch guns, and it can essentially fire and sink a ship from 10 miles away, 10 miles. So this is destructive, and it's latest technology on the market. So both sides who are racing each other or competing to be the very best at the Navy both want this new technology. Whoever has the most dreadnoughts can really dominate the sea, because these make other battleships, what we would say is redundant, which means useless. These new ships can blow them out of the water. So both Britain and Germany want them, and what then begins is a race to build them, a literal naval race to build them. All the shipyards are trying to produce them as quick as possible, and the public is also adding that pressure that they want to know that their country is building them. And for Britain, it's just that they feel that they have to maintain the naval dominance, that they are the best and the most powerful navy in the world. So by 1914, it is Britain that wins that race, and they have 29 Dreadnought class ships by the first year of the war, and Germany had 17. So what were the main effects of the naval race? Well, firstly, Britain felt threatened by Germany and the ambitions of its leader, Kaiser Wilhelm. So by threatening their navy, Britain is always very sensitive about that because we're an island nation. So when they felt threatened, they looked for support. And that's exactly what they did. So in 1904, they signed a treaty alliance with France, Germany's neighbour. France also has rivalries with Germany, so Britain and France essentially decide to join together against them. That then gives them more security, and that they feel they are stronger together. But what this shows overall, again, is that Europe is becoming more tense and more divided. Relations ultimately between Britain and Germany get much worse. Tensions increase, they become more suspicious of each other, and because of the naval race and the intense competition, Germany is just seen as an incredible threat, public enemy number one. So their relationship really starts to decline, and this is what makes war a lot more likely. The relationship really doesn't recover from the naval race because, as we know, by 1914 the countries are at war with each other. The disagreements, tension and suspicion over the navy and who would have the best navy really ruins the relationship between Britain and Germany and makes a war between them much more likely. So the specific naval race going on between Germany and Britain took place in a context of a larger arms race in Europe. And what I mean by that is the key big European countries were trying to have the most weaponry and arms, but also the best. So people wanted to have the best military so that then they could be the strongest power. So here in this table, we can see some examples of the numbers. Now, by in this table, it says defence estimate. So defence is military spending on defence, and this is in millions of pounds. So now, as we've looked at the naval race, you think, well, I would expect Germany and Britain to be spending a lot of money. But what this table shows is that all of the European powers had begun to increase their military spending significantly. So if we look at the example of France and Russia that's been highlighted there, France jumps from 22 million in 1870 to spending 57.4 million in 1914. And 1914, just a quick reminder, is the year that the war breaks out. Russia likewise grows from 22 up to 88.2. So these are huge increases of military spending, and all the major European powers are doing this. So Europe is going through an arms race in the decades and the years leading up to World War I. So the impact of this is that it made countries fearful of each other. If everybody's got a huge amount of weaponry and you're desperately trying to spend money to make sure yours is the best, you begin to get a bit worried about your neighbours and the countries near you. So this makes countries want to stick together to form groups for security, so that they can say, well, if they attack us, you can support me. And a lot of what leads them to do this is because everybody is developing so many weapons, countries become more afraid of each other, so they make alliances to help protect themselves. And what this whole situation does in terms of the arms races is just increase the tension. Once you've got so much spending on the military by 1914, and it's the year of the war, you just can feel that everybody in Europe is waiting for a reason to use the arms. That's it. Everyone's ready, everybody's armed, everybody's spent a lot of money. It's just waiting for a reason to use them, because if you have spent that much money on them, there's a feeling that you want to use them. And this has been building and building and building over time, so that by 1914 Europe's armed to the teeth. And the tension is rising, and countries are very, very suspicious and competitive with each other. I would now like you to complete these 4 questions into your book on the page with militarism on it. Be careful with question 2. There are 2 parts to that question. So what was the dreadnought and how many did Britain have by 1914? There is a sentence starter there on question 4. Please use that if you find it helpful. If you've forgotten any details, of course, you can go back to the earlier parts of the video and use those if you find it helpful. Please pause the video now to complete this work. I would now like you to compare your work with the information here on this waggle. If you can use a different coloured pen, and then if there is anything that you have missed, you can add that into your notes. So please pause the video now to compare your work to the waggle and make any necessary additions of anything that you might have missed. Okay, thank you, Year 8. That is the end of this lesson on militarism. I hope, like this young soldier here, you have finished all of your written work and you've checked your responses against the waggle. Next lesson, we will be focusing on the alliance systems and how this created a very dangerous situation in Europe. Thank you for all your hard work.